Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Not Buried Yet. My name is Ewan Phillips.
And I'm Lewis Kelly.
And today we're joined by Bury AFC director Darren Bernstein. It's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, thank you very much for coming. And Darren, obviously you're very involved with Bury, you're a Bury fan yourself. Can you just tell us a bit about your job description within the club?
Yeah, so I'm one of the elected directors on the Benefit Society, the Community Benefit Society, which is the holding company that owns the football club. So all the members, it's one member, one vote. They get the opportunity to vote the board in, and on the board we discuss the sort of strategic direction of the club, where it's going. But the day-to-day running of the football club is passed on to a football club board. Mm-hmm. So I'm involved in some of the community stuff that we're trying to get going, but just the general sort of management of the company.
No, that's really informative. And you mentioned obviously the community stuff there, and how important is that for a brand new club, a reincarnation of the old Bury, so to speak, to get in that community and really get at the fans to be like, this is us, this is what we're doing for you?
Yeah, it's absolutely vital, and the reason why it's important is that we have to take our responsibilities as an organisation, as part of the community. All the fans pretty much are from the area of Bury, if not living in the area. So we've got a responsibility to put stuff back into the community, but also from developing the football club. Our next generation of fans are all going to come from the community, and the way to try and harvest and create more fans is to give something back, so that there's a greater affiliation between people that live within the town or the wider borough and the football club. So that's why the community stuff is really important.
And what sort of things have you done in order for that to come into fruition?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of fundraising for the local hospice, local people who've got sort of issues. We've done toy drives at Christmas, food bank drives, to really show that we're one within the community. We've got desires. We've got our own community trust that we've set up. Work's not been as fast as we'd like, but we're starting to look in the future about how we ramp that up.
Yeah, so before we carry on, we went to Bury AFC training earlier this year in order to see the players do a crossbar challenge and to have a chat with manager Andy Welsh.
And just before that, Darren, we're going to get a little bit of prediction from you. So obviously you've seen the lads all season. How many people do you think hit the crossbar?
3 or 4.
3 or 4?
That's
okay, it's on camera as well, so you've got a prediction there. So that's official. So now we'll move on with the crossbar challenge.
Here today with AFC Bury, as you can see, observing their training session.
We're going to put all the players through their paces today as a crossbar challenge. Let's see how they all get on. But first, let's hear from manager Andy Welsh.
So we're with Bury AFC manager Andy Welsh. So first and foremost, congratulations on winning the league this year, Andy. How proud are you of this team?
No, really proud. It's not just the team on the pitch; it's everyone off it as well. The volunteers and the ones that are with us on a daily basis, the staff that are making the players get to the levels and reach the levels that we have this year. So, as a collective, it's been an unbelievable effort, and like you've said, really proud of everyone and the efforts they've put in.
Yeah, and obviously myself, I've witnessed firsthand obviously some of the performance that Bury have put in this year, and credit to the team obviously with everything going on surrounding the club, and just one loss all season. What's the secret to a tight defence?
I think first and foremost we've got a group of lads, and certainly us as staff, we work really hard at what we want to achieve, and nobody likes losing, and it's very easy to say that, but these lads train really hard, and the way that we set up in terms of training and that is that if you're losing, you don't get rewards when you're losing, so we make sure that we're making sure training's gauged towards winning on a weekend or during the week with with rewards on that as well, and first and foremost it's about building an environment, a winning environment where if your mate's not doing it, they need to be told, and in the right way, but also sometimes it might be in the wrong way. So it comes down to the environment that you create, and we've certainly had that this year, and we continue to have it. We've still got a couple of games left, but it shows on the pitch, because the amount of times we've been down on luck, we haven't moaned about it. We've just gone until the last minute or the last seconds of games.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, we're almost in the third act of the season now. Any plans or any thoughts for next season as of yet?
Obviously, you're always looking towards new seasons, and now we know which division we're going to be in. It makes it a bit easier to kind of plan. But you know, we have still got a job to do on Saturday and then on Tuesday. So the main thing right now is making sure that the players are you know, staying fit for the remaining games, and that we're fully focused still to win games, because you know, we want to go to Goldcross at the weekend and win that game as well.
Yeah, so Andy, now we're in the final act of the season. Want to know a bit more about yourself. So what's the last thing you watched on Netflix, Amazon Prime, anything like that?
It was on Amazon Prime about the Toronto Maple Leafs, All or Nothing. So real good insight into a different sport and how they prepare for games and training and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of them out there as well, with different sports and also with football. So yeah, good, but yeah.
Yeah, and then final thing from me before I let you go, again, thank you very much for your time. What does Andy like to do for fun on a weekend?
For fun?
Yeah.
Just get 3 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's obviously spend time with my family. You know, Sunday try to switch off and, you know, whether it's go for a walk or take the kids out. You know, so yeah, just normal really.
Again, thank you for your time, and thank you for letting us have the lads for as long as you let us have them. Yeah. Thank you very much, Andy.
No problem.
Oh, look, he got a good chance. He's got a great foot.
Oh, he scooped it.
Absolutely.
He scooped it wide.
There he is.
Winger, practice makes perfect.
He's gone for
Oh,
it.
no, it's
No,
wide.
just wide. Just wide.
Practice makes perfect. The operative words.
So Adam is he coaches in United's academy.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, he's a good lad. He was the first player that.
It's a good effort, that. Oh, he's done it!
Brilliant! Amazing.
That's what to take back to the academy,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So he was the first player ever to sign for Bury.
Harry Brazil,
And he was
hairdresser.
called Academy, yeah.
First one through at the bar as well.
Harry Brazil hairdresser.
Yeah. My little boy,
That's not bad.
his song is "We've Got Brazil," and my little boy was singing that at school to his mates. He said, "Who's your favourite player?" And he went, "Harry Brazil." And I went, "Who's that?" And he just started singing the song. That's Absy's brother, the youngest brother.
Is he the older?
Absy's, no, he's younger.
Oh, okay.
He's younger.
Lefty, first lefty.
That's a good effort.
So he's
Not bad.
only played a couple of games as sub, but I think he'll be going for next year.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And there you go. There's the and there you go. There's the Bury AFC crossbar challenge. Darren, you did predict 4.
Yeah.
Fortunately, only one person hit the crossbar for that. But like you asked us earlier, that can definitely go straight to the club, and they can use that for the fans.
Brilliant.
100%.
I think, I think the fans, it's great content, and we'll see. It'll be really interesting to see what the fans think, which players will have got it as well, so we can make some good stuff out of that.
Definitely.
Great stuff, guys.
Bury AFC had 750 manager applications, but obviously you went with Andy Welsh. What made that, not an easy choice, but what was about Andy Welsh that you liked the most?
Well, it was great to get so many applications, which meant that whoever we chose, they were going to be really good. And there was a range of things that made Andy the top candidate. First of all, when we did the interview process, and there was 2 interviews, what became really apparent was his contacts and networks around non-league, because while lots of fans ideally would have wanted an old Bury player, actually the league that Bury operated at was far higher than we were going to be, so we needed someone that really knew the leagues, which was great, and Andy had that, and he had a contact book pages and pages long. The second thing that was really important to us was that we wanted a manager that obviously had the credentials in terms of coaching and player development. But as a brand new club, our values and who we are as a club were really critical, because we still have got a slightly split fan base between people that have come along with AFC and those that haven't. And actually, Andy's experience of his time at Ossett Town, when that became Ossett United, was really critical. But straight away at interview, he bought into what we were about as a club, being sustainable, being there for the supporters, trying to galvanise that and move it forward, and being successful on the pitch, but doing things in the right way off the pitch as well. And he's been absolutely true to everything that he said he would be in his interview.
Yeah. And that's all you can ask, obviously, that transparency from an applicant. I know in the past I've spoken to Chris the lecturer, and he's mentioned a few people have lied on CVs and stuff like that, and then when it's come to it. But you mentioned obviously about Andy's networking ability at that level and his integral part of the club.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, obviously being a Bury fan for as long as you have, Andy's come in and put almost his Andy Welsh imprint on the club and left his mark on the club?
Absolutely, and one of the ways, it's easy to say words, but one of the things that you find is, in his interviews he always talks about the players working hard. And as fans aren't silly, fans see whether that's genuine or not. But the proof in the pudding has been in the matches, because you see how many times really late on we've scored goals to equalise or win matches, which means that the players really are working hard. They're going to training, they train I think two times a week, and they put a shift in and they give everything for the shirt, and fans can visibly see that. So when Andy says in his interviews the players are giving everything for the fans, the fans see that, and so therefore give all their support and all positive support, which spurs the players on. So that when I say that they're feeding off each other, you can really get a sense of what he says, what he does, or he does what he says.
No, I really like what you said there, obviously, that fans are not idiots, and sometimes I feel like the higher you go up the football pyramid, the more they believe that you are an idiot and that you will pay.
More isolated as well.
Yeah,
100%. The higher the league up you are.
Yeah.
Well, there's no hiding place, because with non-league football, you're literally next to the pitch, and then after the match, the players are in the bar, so you can go and speak to them. So there's no hiding place. So if they're not putting in a shift, the demands are that the fans, all they ask is that they try their very hardest, and I'm pretty sure that all our fans know that they're doing that, and these players have probably dropped a couple of divisions to play for us.
Yeah.
So why would you drop in order to play in front of 1,000 people and then not give your all, which never happens?
No, that's true, and like you said earlier, like no football fan will have a go at you for doing your best. It's apparent when players aren't running, they're not chasing every ball, stuff like that. But I really like what you said about the human element of the players, where you can go and speak to them in the bar, and that creates that sense of community, which you mentioned earlier on. Yeah. About this is a family, even though the fan base is divided, we're doing our bit and we're doing all we can, kind of thing. Yeah,
and you see it on social media where fans are tweeting players saying well done, etc., etc., and the players are tweeting back saying thanks, appreciate your support, and it just keeps that thing going.
Okay, so obviously for those that don't know, Bury AFC is a fan-led group at the moment, and they're not alone in that regard. So AFC Wimbledon did something very similar. Have yourselves as Bury either followed a similar template to Wimbledon, or are you just kind of doing your own thing because it almost like the proof is in the pudding, they have done that?
Yeah, so when we set up, we've had a lot of help from a lot of fan-owned clubs. So Wimbledon were very supportive, Chester have been brilliant, and then FC United have been great as well. And there's so much knowledge out there around football that we'd have been stupid to say we can do this all by ourselves without taking any help of people who have been there and done it before, because they've made the mistake, so we should as a club be friendly with them, and then they're quite happy to give us their expertise, knowledge and experience, so we don't have to make the same mistake. So there's been a lot of support, and given what happened, we would have been stupid not to take advantage of that goodwill that was there. So those clubs have been really good. Wimbledon, another one I'd add to the mix is Exeter. You know, they've, as a fan-owned club, just
They're doing great as well at the
promoted.
moment.
So they just got promoted back to League One after 10 years, and those clubs are a real model for us, and it should give all of our fans hope that there's people out there that think fan-owned models will not work because there's just not enough capital. When you look at, if you're really well-owned, well-run, and you do things in the right way, and you don't rush and you take your time, it can be done. But you've just got to, as a group of fans, really focusing on what's important. Okay, and yes, promotion is great, and advancing and progressing is great, but what has to be more than anything else is sustainability, and not going back to what happened to us, or certainly what happened to Wimbledon. Although the stories, you know, is slightly different there. Chester have been both, so we've got to make sure we don't risk everything for success, but we build incrementally. But yeah, absolutely, the Wimbledon story is fantastic. Exeter are following them, and yeah, we'd love to do that, and at some stage, you know, progress from where we are.
I know that we touched a little bit on your sort of aims for next season and how you want to progress up the leagues quickly, but say in the next 10 years, or if you're looking forward long term, what we sort of looking at for Bury AFC?
Yeah, so you know, our desire would be to get back in the league if we could. What comes with that is a lot of finance. Okay, so we've seen, so you know, Salford spending lots of money to get up into League Two. Same with some other clubs that are really investing, like even in the National League. You know, we've seen Stockport County's accounts where they're losing around 50,000 a week. We just can't go back to that. So we have to balance our desire to get back in the league, and we should never stop that as being an aspiration. But what we need to do is make sure that it's sustainable at all times. Around the ground, there's lots going on with that. We're very happy at Ratcliffe at the moment. If we can work with the Old Supporters Trust and 1885 group, then great. We'll just have to see how that pans out. You know, that is not within our control because we're in a negotiation. But ideally, something positive will happen there. We'll just have to see how that progresses. But what we can't do is stop everything and stop the progress of the club. We've got to keep going, because before we know it, August will be around and we'll be back into the league season. So we need to make hay while we can, while there's no matches, keep progressing the club, and see what happens around the ground. But certainly league football, certainly sustainability, and then hopefully some kind of deal with Gig Lane.
Yeah, and that's good. You keep going back to that word sustainability, and obviously in a football club it's okay to make mistakes. However, you don't want to make the same mistake twice. And obviously you mentioned that you're consulting these football clubs and stuff like that. How integral is that, not making these same mistakes, and sustainability? How close are they interlinked?
Yeah, I think there's short-term mistakes where you go with the wrong supplier or you do the wrong thing, but lots of those small mistakes add up to the big ones. When the very first meeting of the club, when there was a talk about a Phoenix club, they talk about the first words that were written down were never again. Never again can we let what happened. Letting people that really don't care about the club, or spending way too much money on wages compared to the money that we were bringing in. So that's why that sustainability is really important. So there's big mistakes, letting the club into the hands of the wrong people, or there's making operational mistakes that end up costing you fortunes, either because you've not got the right contracts in place or the right insurances, etc., etc. So what we try and do is you minimise risk when you're on the board. As much as we're all fans and we want to win the league by 20 points every year, it's not going to happen. What we need to do as a board is minimise risk, both financial and whether it's health and safety, etc., etc.
What are your thoughts about this season?
Season's been great. In all honesty, I've not let the girls know that just yet. Me and Steve said on a number of times how proud we are of the girls. It was 11 months 11 months ago, so we met them all. What we brought together in terms of on and off the field has been superb. They've welcomed us with open arms. They've listened to us. They've wanted to learn, and they've wanted to at least try everything we've implemented in training. and games, and you know it's paid off. The disappointment at some of the semi-final results, obviously in the cups, was obvious, but you know if we look back on that in our first season, we've done a hell of a job to get there. You know the nail-biting thing is now it comes down to one game, to whether we take silverware home or not. But I couldn't be prouder of the girls. But like I say, I won't be telling them that till we lift that league trophy on Sunday.
When did you understand or realize that the team could compete at this level?
I think the first game of the season is huge for us. You know, we purposely planned a tough pre-season against opposition in the leagues above us, opposition from Yorkshire. You know, we got some heavy kind of defeats, and the girls battled on, and we said to them, this is part of the plan. You know, we're not going to give you easy friendlies. We wanted to challenge the girls, and we did. And it came to the first game of the season, you know, and we've had, I think it was 4 losses, 2 draws of 6 games in pre-season, and they went and won 3-2. For me, it says a lot about their character. It says a lot about them buying into what we want to do. And you know, if I had to pick a highlight, you know, me and Steve said to him the day before that game, we're making history. This is the first ever women's game for Bury AFC, and we went out and won. Another victory, the obvious, is the County Cup game against Curzon Ashton. You know, some were saying it was David and Goliath in the sense of in the league above. They've just gone on to win that league. They were a fantastic team, and that game, you know, the girls really, they dug deep, but they've shown the class and the quality, and we come away with a result. Now, I'm not saying, you know, every time we play Curzon Ashton we'll go and get a result, because they were a quality side as well, but it shows where we were at the time and, you know, where we are now. So yeah, but the first game is definitely a highlight. You know, it's our first win.
Is there any football coach that inspires your game, or you follow your ideas creating your own game?
I mean, I wouldn't say I have my own game. If I did, I probably wouldn't be here. But no, I wouldn't say I follow one. You know, I do a lot of, I suppose, homework. I'm a bit of a football geek. I'll sit and watch sessions of coaches, you know, the likes of Guardiola, Klopp, and you know, Pochettino, things like that, Mourinho, and I'm stealing. It's you know, as nasty as it is. I'm a young coach. I'm learning. I say to the girls, if there's sessions where they think something could be changed, tell me. You know, I'm in the same position as them. You know, apart from I'm learning as a coach, they're learning as a footballer. So I wouldn't say I follow just one coach. I like to get ideas from others, try it. Does it work with the girls? Yeah, no. Try something new. Obviously, growing up, I'm a Man United fan, so you know, Sir Alex Ferguson's the obvious choice. But in terms of coaches I follow, it's probably coaches I had as a player. That's both playing football and handball. They're the coaches which I look back on, and I think it's how they manage me as a player. Well, technically they're all good coaches, but the man management with me in terms of making me feel part of, I suppose, a family. Sport's been a massive part of my life, so I want to make sure the girls have got that. And me and Steve said at the start of the season, the biggest thing we want to get out of the season is make sure we've got the changing room. And if you've got the changing room, as soon as you walk out of it, everyone will fight for each other, you know, staff and players. So yeah, it's probably experience of the coach I've played under.
What are your plans for next season?
Got our eyes on a couple of opponents we want to play in terms of leagues above, and want to try and get out of the Northwest again and kind of test ourselves here and there. So we've put them plans in place. We've made it clear in terms of positions we need to strengthen in. You know, for us, there's no one really we want to replace, because we've got a great set of girls, but we also need to ask the girls what their commitment is, because we know next season, you know, if we do go up, it's a big commitment. You know, you could be travelling over to Merseyside on a Sunday, which, you know, it's a 5-6 hour day. And for me and Steve, it's something we've grew up with. For some of the girls who've just got back into football after 3, 4, 5 years out. So our plans, first of all, is to sit down with each and every one of them, have our one-to-ones, then have our trial day, see if there's any fresh faces out there that we want to bring in, and then straight into pre-season. Only, I think it's about an 8-week break, just the fact that the season's ran that long. So yeah.
Jake, now we want to know who you are, what you do in your free time or during the week.
I like to socialise. You know, we've done a lot of social events this year. Again, football. You know, family members just think I'm an absolute geek. I watch as much football as I can. It's what I grew up with. It's what I love. So I won't change that. And then yeah, just socialising with friends, going out having a drink, going. You know, me and Steve, a number of times this season on a Saturday we've gone and watched some football, because we're used to games on a Saturday for the last nearly 15-20 years of our lives. So playing on a Sunday's been a bit different. So yeah, away from football, my life's pretty much football and the odd beer really. Quite a quiet guy.
So what's the last thing you watched on Netflix, Amazon Prime?
The last thing BBC iPlayer, I watched Idris Elba's Fight School. So yeah, that's the last thing I watched. I was trying to look for something last night, but I ended up watching, again, football. I was watching the overlap with the Gary Neville interview with Steven Gerrard. So again, another coach who I admire as well, a young coach coming into the game, ex-pro. So yeah, it's pretty much watching sport.
Thank you.
Perfect, cheers.
Okay, so we're back with Darren from Bury AFC. Darren, again, thank you for coming, but it's been a huge year for Bury this year. Obviously winning the league at the first attempt. How proud are you of this team?
Yeah, really proud, but I think we've got to look at the wider club. Yes, the men's team have won their league in the North West Counties Division 1 North, but we're fortunate we've got two really great women's teams that are integral to the club. The women's reserve team they've won their league, and then hopefully the senior women's team they need one more win. So we're hoping and praying that they can make it a hat-trick of league wins in our second season, but really our first season because of COVID. And it's something that we're really proud of as a club and club-wide, and to see what it means to fans is as important as anything. And what's great is that the players have fed off the fans and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. I know we'll touch on the women's team a bit later on. But what would you say your main ambitions are for next season? After such a successful season this year, moving on to obviously another league, more clubs to play against, what do you think, what will you be happy with?
Yeah, we'll be really happy getting promoted again.
Yeah.
We're not arrogant. We don't think we're just going to walk the league. It's going to be competitive. We know that. But our ambition is to keep progressing the club on the field, but also off the field. So again, and we'll talk about women's football later, but we want the women's team to carry on their progression and grow the club, increase the fan base. So there's a lot to do on the field and off the field. But yeah, on the field wise, the men, hopefully we can take another step, and just keep growing the club and it sounds but making the fans happy and proud of the club and the fact that the fans and members and they own the club as well.
How important are the fans for a non-league club, especially for Bury, who have gone through such a difficult time? How important are they?
They are integral for many reasons. The first one is that the reason why we've had such success in the first year is that the fans are the members and the members own the club.
Yeah, definitely.
So without them, the club doesn't exist. And then financially and commercially, we can't be successful because the income streams don't come in. And if the income streams don't come in, we're back to where we were 3, 4, 5 years ago, where we've got a football club that can't afford to operate. So they're integral to the club, both in terms of it operating, but also what the whole club's about.
You've spoken a lot about the fans, the importance of its reborn of the club, and you spoke about how important they are day to day in the club. Do you ever feel sort of pressured by the fans to pressure to perform for the fans?
It's a good question. Not so much pressure. You always hope that you're doing the right thing. Yeah. And as a group of sort of a board, we're not sort of sat in a boardroom. We're not sat in director's box. Some people might not even know who we are, which is great in a way. But we're in the crowd, which means that you can listen, you can pick up things, you get the temperature of what people's thoughts are. And there are some difficult decisions to make. And as we move, we talk about Gig Lane and things like that, there's some really difficult decisions. But actually, the way that it works, that we're voted in, we're there to produce what the fans want.
Yeah, sort of represent the fans a little bit.
Absolutely. So the option is like perform for the fans and what they want, but when there's an element of things that need to be done and we need their support with. We've never, as a group, as a board, the fans have always supported us because because they vote us in, we are completely transparent with everything we do. So it's about creating trust.
Yeah.
So by being transparent and creating that trust, if we get to the stage where we have to say we think we should do X or we think we should do Y, I'm hopefully quite confident that the membership will trust what we've said, because of a track record of giving our management accounts every month to the fans so that they can see what we're spending. You know, letting fans vote on all manner of things, and the reason why they can is because they own the club.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, I wouldn't say there's a pressure, I'd say there's a great responsibility, and it's something that it gives me a lot of pride and joy. But I'm also, if I'm not doing a good job, they can vote me out, which is fine, you know, because but it keeps you on track, and it means that, you know, if you want to carry on doing this as a board or as an individual, you forget to listen to the fans, and that's it. You're dead in the water, which is hopefully we've never done.